The room was laughing when it happened. A billionaire investor leaned over a woman in a wheelchair, mocking her in front of everyone who mattered. And no one moved. No one spoke. Champagne glasses froze in midair as her voice cracked, and she whispered for him to stop. Then a man everyone had ignored all night dropped his mop and stepped forward. The janitor. No suit, no title. Just a calm voice and eyes hardened by war. What he did next shattered reputations, exposed a hidden hero, and forced an entire room to confront the cost of their silence. Stay until the end, because this moment changes everything. The night Westbridge Tower glowed like a jewel over downtown Chicago. Daniel Reed already knew it would be loud, crowded, and careless. He had learned to read buildings the way other men read faces. When money gathered, so did arrogance. When champagne flowed, so did cruelty. Daniel pushed his cleaning cart across the marble floor, head down, gray uniform blending into the walls. At 38, he had mastered the art of being unseen. Executives brushed past him without a glance. Investors laughed too loudly. Cameras flashed as if the light itself belonged to them. At the center of the boardroom sat Evelyn Brooks. Daniel noticed her before anyone else. He always did. Not because she was the CEO, not because she was young or powerful, but because of the way she held herself. Straight-backed in her wheelchair, chin lifted, smile carefully measured. 2 years earlier, a car accident had taken her ability to walk. It had not taken her mind, her discipline, or her resolve. Still, Daniel saw what others refused to see. The way her fingers tightened on the armrest when pressure rose. The way her eyes dimmed when whispers circled too close. Evelyn Brooks had built this company with her bare hands, and tonight was supposed to be her victory. A $300 million deal, the kind that made headlines and legacies. Daniel parked his cart near the back wall, pretending to wipe a spotless surface. He had learned long ago that danger often arrives smiling. At home, his daughter Lucy was probably asleep by now. 9 years old, wild curls, big questions. She believed her father could fix anything. Bikes, broken lamps, nightmares. "Daddy, can you fix the world?" He had smiled that night and said, working on it. Around his neck, beneath his uniform, the old dog tag pressed against his chest. Honor before glory. He touched it without thinking. The boardroom erupted into applause as the final presentation ended. Lawyers exchanged documents. Glasses clinked. Someone turned the music up. That was when Martin Hale stood. Daniel felt it before he heard it. The shift in the air. The wrong kind of silence. Martin Hale was 45, a major shareholder, and drunk enough to believe the room belonged to him. His tie hung loose. His face flushed. His confidence bloated by money and alcohol. He grabbed the microphone meant for celebration. "Before we sign," Martin slurred, "I want to say something." Evelyn's smile froze. "Martin, maybe we should wait." No, everyone should hear this." Daniel stopped moving. His hand tightened around the mop handle. Martin turned slowly, scanning the room, enjoying the attention. "We are about to trust $300 million to someone who cannot even walk across this room." A few people laughed. Soft at first, nervous, then louder. Daniel felt something cold settle in his stomach. Evelyn's voice trembled. "Martin, please stop." He stepped closer to her. Too close. How can someone in a wheelchair lead in a crisis? What happens if there is an emergency? She just rolls away. The laughter turned uglier. Evelyn swallowed. "Please." Martin reached out and touched the handle of her wheelchair. "Maybe you should let the adults take over." The sound of the mop hitting the floor echoed through the room. "Touch her again, and you will regret it." Every head turned. Daniel Reed stood at the doorway, shoulders squared, eyes sharp and steady. He did not raise his voice. He did not rush. He simply stepped forward, one deliberate step at a time. Martin squinted at him. "Who the hell are you?" Daniel kept walking. "The guy you walk past every day without looking at." Someone hissed, "It's the janitor." Martin laughed. "Get back to your mop before I have you fired." Daniel reached the table. He slipped the dog tag from under his shirt and placed it gently on the polished wood. The metal clicked, loud in the silence. "Touch her again," Daniel said quietly, "and I will remind you why men like me still wear these." Security moved. 2 guards stepped forward. The first grabbed Daniel's arm. In one swift motion, controlled and precise, Daniel twisted the wrist, turned the body, and released the guard without harm. The second froze mid-step. The room went dead silent. Daniel raised his hand slightly. "I do not want to hurt anyone. I just want him to apologize." Martin's face went pale, then red. "This is insane. You are just a janitor." Daniel looked around the room. At the suits, the watches, the power. I clean your floors, I take out your trash, I fix what you break and never thank." He turned back to Martin. "But she never treated me like I was beneath her. Not once." Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. Phones came out. Cameras rolled. Martin sneered. "You do not know who you are messing with. I will destroy you." Daniel stepped closer, calm, unmovable. "I have been shot at. I have carried wounded men through fire. I have seen real courage and real cowardice." He met Martin's eyes. "And you are the most cowardly man I have ever met." A slow clap started from the back of the room, then another, then more. Before Martin could speak, a man in military dress uniform stood. His voice shook. "Sergeant Reed?" Daniel froze. The colonel walked forward, eyes wide with disbelief. "You saved my convoy outside Kandahar." Gas rippled through the room. "You ran through enemy fire and pulled me out of a burning vehicle. You took 2 bullets and kept moving." Evelyn stared at Daniel as if seeing him for the first time. "Why did you leave the service?" someone whispered. Daniel's voice dropped. "My wife died of cancer. I came home and saw my daughter standing alone at her funeral. I realized I had been fighting the wrong battle." Silence wrapped the room. Evelyn reached toward the dog tag on the table. Her fingers trembled as she turned it over. She stopped breathing. "That name," she whispered. Daniel looked down. "That was my father's," Evelyn said. "Colonel Thomas Brooks. He told me about the soldier who saved him. He gave him 5 more years with his family." Her shoulders shook as she cried. "You have been here all this time, protecting me." Martin tried to laugh, but no one joined him. "This changes nothing." Evelyn rolled forward, her voice steady and strong. "It changes everything. Security, escort Mr. Hale out." As Martin was dragged away, a small voice echoed from the doorway. "Daddy?" Daniel turned. Lucy stood there in her pajamas, clutching her stuffed bear. She ran to him, throwing her arms around his legs. "You are my hero." Daniel knelt, holding her close. The room broke. For the first time that night, power bowed to courage. And as Daniel held his daughter, he wondered how many people in that room would have stood up if he had stayed invisible. Would you have spoken up if you were there? Yes or no? The applause did not end when Martin Hale was dragged out. It followed him like a verdict, echoing off marble walls until the doors closed behind him. Then slowly the sound faded, and what remained was something heavier than silence. It was awareness. Daniel still knelt on the floor, Lucy's small arms wrapped tightly around his neck, her cheek pressed against his shoulder as if she were afraid he might disappear again. For 9 years she had known him as her dad, the man who packed lunches and fixed broken toys. Tonight the world had tried to call him something else. Hero, soldier, protector. Daniel brushed a curl from her face and whispered, "You okay, kiddo?" Lucy nodded seriously. "They were being mean to her," she said, glancing at Evelyn. "You didn't let them." "No," Daniel replied softly. "I didn't." Evelyn Brooks watched them, her chest rising unevenly as she tried to steady her breath. She had been humiliated minutes earlier, reduced to a spectacle by a man who believed power gave him permission to be cruel. Yet now she felt something unfamiliar blooming in her chest. Not pity, not relief. Gratitude mixed with resolve. She rolled forward, stopping a respectful distance from Daniel and Lucy. Her voice when she spoke was quiet but unwavering. "Lucy," Evelyn said gently, "your father reminded a room full of powerful people what strength actually looks like." Lucy studied her, then smiled. "Daddy fixes things," she said proudly, "even grown-ups." A ripple of soft laughter moved through the room, not mocking this time, but warm and human. Daniel stood, helping Lucy to her feet. His instinct was to retreat, to return to the edges where he belonged. Visibility still felt dangerous. He reached for his cleaning cart, ready to disappear back into the background. "Daniel," Evelyn said. He paused. "Please don't leave yet." Her tone was not commanding. It was sincere. The board members shifted uneasily. Investors glanced at one another. Some avoided eye contact. Others looked ashamed. Evelyn turned to the room. Tonight was supposed to be about a deal, about money, about growth. She gestured lightly around her. Instead, it became something far more important. She faced them fully now. Every person in this room had a choice when I was humiliated. To speak, to stand, to do nothing. Her gaze swept across the faces. Only one person chose courage. Daniel felt Lucy's hand tighten in his. "I built this company believing leadership meant excellence," Evelyn continued. "Tonight I was reminded it also means decency." No one interrupted her. "As of this moment," she said calmly, Martin Hale is no longer associated with this company in any capacity. Legal proceedings will begin in the morning." There were murmurs, but no objections. Evelyn exhaled and turned back to Daniel. "You stood up for me when it could have cost you everything." Daniel shrugged slightly. "Some things are worth losing a job over." She met his eyes. "Some things are worth more than money." The room began to empty slowly after that. Deals postponed. Champagne forgotten. People left in thoughtful silence. Their conversations quieter. Their steps slower. By the time the boardroom cleared, only a handful remained. Evelyn, Daniel, Lucy, and the colonel, who approached Daniel with a formal nod. "You never sought recognition," the colonel said. "You never told anyone who you were." Daniel glanced at Lucy. "Didn't want her growing up thinking heroes come from medals. I wanted her to know they come from choices." The colonel smiled sadly. "You taught us all something tonight." When he left, Evelyn wheeled closer to the window overlooking the city. The lights of Chicago stretched endlessly below. Each one a life, a story, a struggle unseen. "My father used to say the hardest battles aren't fought overseas," she said quietly. "They're fought in rooms like this, where silence feels safer than truth." Daniel nodded. "He said something similar." She turned, studying him with new understanding. "I never connected your name to his stories. He spoke of you often. The soldier who carried him out of fire. The man who refused evacuation until every other man was safe." Daniel swallowed. "He gave me that dog tag before his last deployment. Told me to remember what mattered." Evelyn's voice softened. "He would be proud of you, and grateful." For a moment, neither spoke. The city hummed outside. Somewhere below, traffic moved, unaware of what had shifted above. Evelyn broke the silence. "This company needs someone like you, not as a symbol, as a standard." Daniel stiffened slightly. "I'm just trying to raise my daughter right." "And that," Evelyn said, "is exactly why." She reached into her folder and slid a single page across the table toward him. Daniel hesitated, then picked it up. Head of Corporate Security. The numbers made his breath catch. "I'm not offering this because of what you did tonight," Evelyn said. "I'm offering it because of who you've been every day, without an audience." Daniel looked at Lucy, who was tracing patterns on the glass with her finger. "This isn't about money." "I know," Evelyn replied. "It's about presence. Making sure no one here ever feels invisible again." Daniel folded the paper carefully. "I need to think about it." Evelyn smiled. "Take your time. Courage doesn't rush." Later that night, Daniel tucked Lucy into bed. She looked at him with solemn eyes. "Daddy," she said, "were you scared?" He considered the question. "A little." "What did you do?" "I remembered what I was protecting." She smiled and drifted to sleep. Daniel stood in the doorway longer than usual, the weight of the night settling into his bones. Tomorrow the world would know his name. Videos would spread. Opinions would form. Praise would come with scrutiny. But tonight it was just him and the quiet. As he turned off the light, one thought lingered, heavier than all the applause. If he had stayed silent, how many others would have followed? If you had been in that room, would you have found the courage to stand up? Yes or no? The morning after the gala, Daniel Reed woke before sunrise the way he always had. Habit from another life. For a moment, he forgot what had happened. Then his phone buzzed on the nightstand. One notification became 10. 10 became dozens. He silenced the phone and lay still, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft rhythm of Lucy's breathing from the next room. Fame had arrived overnight, loud and uninvited. Clips of the boardroom confrontation were everywhere. Headlines called him a hero, a janitor turned guardian, a father who stood when others stayed silent. Daniel did not feel like a hero. He felt tired and wary. He made breakfast as usual, pancakes. Lucy padded into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes, then stopped short when she saw his phone lighting up again. "Daddy," she asked, "did you do something wrong?" Daniel knelt to her level. "No, sweetheart. I just did what I thought was right." She considered that, then nodded. "That's what you always tell me to do." At school that morning, parents whispered. Teachers smiled with a kind of awe. One man shook Daniel's hand a little too hard, as if trying to absorb some of what he had seen online. Daniel kept his answers polite and brief. He wanted Lucy to feel normal. He wanted her to feel safe. At Westbridge Tower, everything had changed. When Daniel walked through the lobby, people noticed. Heads turned. Conversations paused. Some looked embarrassed. Others looked inspired. The cleaning cart he once pushed was gone. In its place waited a simple badge with his name printed clearly beneath his photo. Daniel Reed, head of corporate security. He paused before clipping it on. Not because of doubt, but because he understood what visibility cost. Once you were seen, you could not unsee yourself. Evelyn Brooks was already in her office, reviewing reports when he arrived. She looked up and smiled. A real smile, not the carefully assembled one she had worn for years. "You came," she said. "I said I'd think about it," Daniel replied. "I thought." She gestured for him to sit. "And?" He met her gaze. "I'll take the job, on one condition." Evelyn leaned forward. "Name it." "This isn't about image. I don't want to be a symbol you point to when it's convenient." Her expression sharpened with respect. "Agreed. I want authority to intervene, to protect people at every level, executives, interns, maintenance staff, anyone who's treated like they don't matter." Evelyn nodded slowly. "That's exactly why I offered it to you." The weeks that followed were quiet in ways that mattered. Policies changed, training was introduced, anonymous reporting systems were implemented, meetings were shorter and more intentional. People spoke more carefully, not out of fear, but awareness. One afternoon, a young intern named Sarah rolled into Evelyn's office. She had been in a wheelchair since she was 14. Her voice shook as she spoke. "I almost quit last year," she admitted. "I thought no one would ever take me seriously here." Evelyn listened without interrupting. "But after what happened," Sarah continued, "I stayed, because I realized this place could be different." After Sarah left, Evelyn sat alone for a long time, staring at the city below. For years, she had fought to be respected. Now she was fighting to make sure others did not have to fight alone. Daniel found his rhythm quickly. He walked the building daily, not to intimidate, but to be present. He learned names, asked questions, listened. When people realized he remembered them, something shifted in how they stood, in how they spoke, in how they treated one another. One evening, Daniel caught Lucy watching an interview replay on television. His own face stared back at him. "You don't like seeing yourself like that," she observed. "No," Daniel admitted. "I worry people will forget the point." Lucy tilted her head. "What's the point?" "That courage isn't loud," he said. "It doesn't look for applause." She smiled. "Then why do people clap?" Daniel laughed softly. "Because sometimes they need reminders." Months later, Westbridge Tower hosted another event. Smaller, quieter. This time, the focus was on community partnerships and inclusive leadership. Evelyn spoke briefly, then invited Daniel to join her. He hesitated, then stepped forward. "I used to believe being invisible kept me safe," Daniel said. "But invisibility doesn't protect the people who need us. Presence does." He glanced at Evelyn. "Leadership isn't about standing above others. It's about standing beside them." The applause that followed felt different, not thunderous, not performative. It felt earned. That night, as Daniel tucked Lucy into bed, she asked him a question he had been waiting for. "Daddy," she said, "do you think people can change?" He thought of the room that once laughed, the people who later apologized, the policies rewritten, the conversations he now heard in hallways. "Yes," he said slowly. "I think people can change when they're brave enough to look at themselves." Lucy yawned. "Then I want to be brave." "You already are," he whispered. Years later, when Lucy stood on a stage of her own, confident and unafraid, Daniel would remember that night. The night one cruel voice tried to define a woman by what she lacked, and one quiet man reminded the world what truly mattered. Not power, not position, but choice. And somewhere in the city, in rooms where silence once ruled, people remembered what it felt like to stand. How did this story make you feel? And what do you think it says about courage and responsibility? If you enjoyed this story, please comment below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell icon next to the subscribe button so you never miss our latest stories. Tell us which country you're watching from and share this story with someone who needs a reminder that doing the right thing still matters.